Goji berries really are absolutely amazing. They're loaded with nutrients. They're incredibly nutrient dense. They've got a lot of antioxidants. They've got anti-inflammatory properties. They act as a very powerful tonic for the lungs, the kidneys, and the liver. They're actually hepatoprotective, so they actually protect the liver against harmful chemical contaminants or, any kind of radiation exposure. And they actually stimulate the regeneration of the liver. Goji is actually very, very good at enhancing immune function. It's also very good at stabilizing blood sugar, and it's been tested and used with great success as an anti-obesity drug. Now, Goji is also very, very good at healing and repairing blood vessels throughout the whole body. It's probably one of the top tonic herbs that exists for healing the eyes and improving vision and just maintaining long-term eye health. And something probably not a lot of people know about Goji is it's actually very, very good for pregnant women to take in the first trimester of their pregnancy to kind of counteract the symptoms of morning sickness. Now, Goji's been used in China and Tibet for thousands and thousands of years. There's a very, very long history of its use in that part of the world. And there's a lot of stories surrounding Goji. One of them is of a man called Master Kang, who apparently lived, I don't know at what age that he died, but he apparently lived way past 100 years old. And after he was 100 years old, he was apparently still very sexually active and, just leading a very, very active life in all regards. But probably a more famous figure would be Li Qingyuan, who actually died apparently at the age of 252, and he is reported as saying that the first half of his life he attributed to the use of the tonic herb Ho Shou Wu. The second half of his life he attributed that to Goji berry. So Goji berry really has established itself as very much a very powerful, very potent longevity tonic herb. So according to the very ancient Chinese herbal system, Goji is a powerful yin-jing tonic. Now, jing is our fundamental life force essence. It's really the foundation of our health and our longevity and our capacity to reproduce. Now, it's the primordial energy that constitutes our physical body, and we're born with a finite amount of it, and we can lose jing through poor diet and poor lifestyle habits, and we can lose it through stress and exposure to toxicity, and men do lose a lot of jing through excessive ejaculation, especially as they get older, and women lose a lot of jing through the process of childbirth. Now, when jing is running really high, we feel like we're in the best shape of our lives, we feel like we can accomplish anything. But when it starts to run really low, we do begin to suffer from many different symptoms of poor health. And when jing runs out completely, that's it. That's game over. You're dead. So fortunately, Goji is one of the premier jing tonics. So consuming it regularly in the proper amount is a really great way to begin replenishing some of that vital essence that we've spent throughout our lives. And because Goji is more of a yin tonic, it's actually very nourishing and regenerating in its nature. So as I mentioned, Goji is very, very nutrient dense. It's got 18 different amino acids. It has all of the essential amino acids, so you can consider it a complete source of protein. It's actually got more protein by weight than bee pollen, and bee pollen has got more protein by weight than beef. So, you can definitely consider Goji berries a good source of rich amino acids. Now, it also has 21 different trace minerals, the most prominent of which would be zinc, selenium, calcium, copper, iron, and germanium. It's also a good source of B vitamins. It's got B1, B2, and B6. It's got a lot of vitamin C when it's fresh. So if you can get it fresh or get it freeze-dried, or as soon as it's just normally air-dried, then the vitamin C content does go down quite a bit. It still has it, but It's extremely high in vitamin C when the berries are fresh. Now, it's also very, very high in the fat-soluble vitamin E, which is a really, really powerful antioxidant, and it actually helps the delivery and the absorption and assimilation of pretty much everything else that's in goji. Goji is actually the richest source of carotenoids out of any food that's ever been discovered. It's got more beta-carotene than any other food. Now, it's also very rich in cryptoxanthin and zeaxanthin, and alongside goji's flavonoid content, all of these carotenoids are going to be largely responsible for a lot of goji's antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties, and a lot of the beta-carotene is going to get converted in the liver into vitamin A or retinol, which is the kind of bioavailable, usable form of vitamin A. And this really explains why goji is so good at promoting eye health and improving vision, because vitamin A plays an essential role in the retinal receptor's ability to absorb light, and it actually enhances the functioning of the cornea and the conjunctival membrane as well. So vitamin A really plays an enormous role in eye health. Goji is also rich in polysaccharides, which are those complex long-chain sugars, which don't only provide a form of kind of slow-burning, slow-release energy, but they're actually very important for enhancing immunity as well. Now, the polysaccharides in goji have been shown to really enhance the activity of lymphocytes, which are a type of white blood cell that are really in charge of dealing with any kind of infection that we may have. And goji has shown to have a bi-directional effect on these lymphocytes. So they're really increasing the activity of lymphocytes when necessary, when there is an infection in place. Whereas if, say, lymphocytes are being a bit overactive, when there really isn't much of an infection there to deal with, the polysaccharides in goji can actually placate those white blood cells and actually calm them down a bit, so it can work in either direction. Now, these polysaccharides in goji also enhance the interleukin response. Now, interleukins are more kind of immune cells. They're like basically signaling molecules that are the communicators of the immune system. So they don't really fight any disease or any issue personally, but they're in charge of actually telling everybody else what the problem is, where it is, and what needs to be done about it. Now, all of the flavonoids and the carotenoids in goji that are really a big part of the reason why goji is so good for eye health actually play a very important role in healing and repairing the capillaries and veins and blood vessels throughout the whole body. So goji has even been used with success in treating conditions like varicose veins. Now, goji is actually considered as well to be genoprotective, so it's protecting the integrity of our genes. On an antioxidant level, it's actually protecting the intracellular DNA. Now, another thing about goji is that it's reported to stimulate the pituitary gland to release more human growth hormone, which again is really responsible for, cell regeneration, cellular health, and really just healing of the physical body from head to toe. So goji really is just totally amazing, but it's very important when we're buying it, when we're buying goji or goji products, that we're aware somewhat of the different grades of it that are available, because when I first got into it years ago, it wasn't anywhere near as popular as it is now, and it was actually nowhere near as expensive as it is now. In the last kind of 5 years or so, it's increased in popularity so much. Even like just mainstream people that aren't even that aware of health matters know about it, because it's everywhere now. It's in health food stores, it's in supermarkets, it's absolutely everywhere. So it's really important to know that not all gojis are the same, because so much of what is available on the market is just absolute shit, to be honest with you. Now, obviously, when we get goji, it's dried. But still, even though it's dried, what we want is for it to be quite large, quite plump. We want it to be juicy. We want it to be chewy. We want it to have a nice sweet flavor. We want it to be a kind of nice, vibrant, orangey red color. We don't want it to be too dark. We don't want it to be too pale. So it's very important, this, because what is for sale in most mainstream places at least, and a lot of health specialist places, are gojis that are very small. They're really quite dark, very dark red, and they're very, very hard. And, you know, it can be difficult to chew on them because they're so hard. Now, these gojis are pretty crap, to be honest. They're not, you know, they wouldn't have been grown particularly well. They haven't really retained much of their nutrient value. So a lot of these health benefits that we're discussing, if we're eating gojis like that, we're not really going to be getting access to these health benefits. So those kind of goji berries are going to be on the cheaper end of the scale, and this really just is a case of you get what you pay for. So if you pay not much, you're not going to get much. And really, they're not anywhere near as nice to eat or to use. So now, organic is also something to consider. When I first got into goji berries, there wasn't such a thing as organic goji berries. But now, you know, people are certifying organic, and you pay more for that, but then at least you know that there is some degree of integrity in the process of growing them and you know, manufacturing them and getting them out onto the market for sale. So they're very versatile. You can eat them as a snack, but it's important not to overeat them. So for a fully grown adult, 1 to 2 handfuls a day is going to be ample. You know, there really isn't any need to go beyond that. For a small child, just cut it in half, you know, give them like 1 handful throughout the day. Now, it's really easy when you've got very good quality gojis to overeat them because they taste so good, but, you know, there's just no need. We can get all of these benefits that we're mentioning from keeping within this dosage range, and it's just overkill if we eat more than that. So we're really undoing some of the good work that we're actually doing to ourselves by consuming this amazing food. Now, goji is part of the nightshade family, so people that are really sensitive to nightshades, you know, any kind of digestive upset that they may experience could be because of that. Normally, the digestive upset can come from eating way too many of them, but if you're experiencing some kind of digestive after effects, what works a lot of the time is to just pre-soak them. So soak them overnight, and then you can throw them into your morning smoothie or something like that, and that pretty much works really well for most people. Now, goji can also be juiced. If it's fresh goji, then you're very lucky. You can grow it really easily. It grows in so many different soils, so many different environments. So, you know, juicing fresh goji is absolutely incredible. But what you can do, like I said, is just soak the dried gojis that you've got, because they absorb all the water and they puff out and swell up, and then you can juice those. So it's not fresh, but it's still a very powerful goji juice. Gojis are really delicious in salads. You can make a really good herbal tea with them. It's really, really tasty herbal tea. You can make an alcohol-based tincture with goji. It's very versatile. There's so many different ways that you can use it. But it's just really, really important that you get the good stuff, which is going to be more expensive. Just follow the guidelines that I mentioned earlier. One last thing about goji is Tibetan goji berries are, in my opinion, the best goji berries in the world. When they're specifically grown in Tibet, they're coming from Tibet. Tibetan goji berries, I've never experienced bad Tibetan goji berries. They've always been the best that I've ever had.